a call comes, be calm. Say to your wife, my brother's dying. I have to fly to California. Try not to be too shocked that he already looks like a cadaver. Say to the young man sitting by your brother's side, I'm his brother. Try not to be shocked when he replies, I'm his lover. Thanks for coming. Listen to the doctors with a steel face on. Sign all the necessary forms. And tell them you'll take care of everything. Wonder, why doctors are so remote. Watch the lover's eyes as they stare into your brother's eyes as they stare into space. Wonder what they see there. Remember the time your brother got jealous and split open your eyebrow with a sharp stick? Forgive him out loud, even if he can't understand you. Realize that scar will be all that's left of him. Over coffee in the hospital cafeteria, say to the lover, you're an extremely attractive young man. Hear him say, I never thought I was good looking enough to deserve your brother. Watch as the tears well up in his eyes. You say, sorry, I don't know what it's like to be the lover of another man. Hear him say, it's just like a wife, only the commitment is greater because there's so much more against you. Say nothing, but hold his hand like a brother's. Call your wife on the telephone, tell her, I'll be home soon. He hasn't much time. Before you hang up, say, how can any commitment be greater than a wife and husband? Hear her say, please, I don't want to know the details. When he slips into an irrevocable coma, hold the lover in your arms while he sobs, no longer strong. Wonder how much longer you'll be able to be strong. Feel what it feels like to hold a man in your arms whose arms are used to holding other men. Offer God anything to bring back your brother. No, there's nothing that God could possibly want. Curse God, but do not abandon him. Stand beside his casket covered in flowers, white flowers. Say, thank you for coming to the several hundred men as they stroll by, some of them holding hands. Know that your brother's life was not what you imagined. Arrange to take an early flight home. The lover will drive you to the airport. Right when your flight is announced, say awkwardly to the lover, if there's anything I can do, please let me know. Do not flinch when the lover says, forgive yourself for not wanting to know him after he told you. He did. Hug him like a brother while he kisses you on the cheek. Fly first class and drink scotch. Remember your brother alive. Stroke the eyebrow. And then smile. And think of what your children will feel like in your arms. Warm, and friendly, and without challenge. J.D. Salinger once wrote, what really knocks me out is a book that when you're all done reading it, you wish the author that wrote it was a terrific friend of yours who you can call on the phone whenever you felt like it. Salinger was alluding to the construct of immediacy, whereby the author wants the reader to feel a sense of closeness to the literature. This, of course, is a fairly universal concept, since most authors want that feeling when people are reading their work. Some authors want this to happen in various ways. For example, an author may want the reader to feel angry, frightened, inspired, or even aroused after reading their work. So, An author will use various literary devices to accomplish this, such as the case in Michael Lascelles' How to Watch Your Brother Die, a poem that chronicles the difficulty of a man who watches his estranged brother succumb to AIDS. According to the May 23, 2016 edition of the Chicago Tribune, the strongest way to accomplish this is using the literary device authorial intrusion. This is when the author chooses to directly address the audience, either by talking directly to the audience, acknowledging the audience, or by placing the audience inside the literature. In order to achieve this, the author must involve the audience in three ways: setting, character, and plot. In How to Watch Your Brother Die, Michael Lascelles achieves setting by using everyday elements that we're all familiar with. For example, conversations with spouses, interactions with doctors, and of course, most importantly, sibling miscommunication. These are all things that directly involve the reader and help set up the scene. Next, Lascelles achieves character by actually making you, the reader, one of the characters. So Lascelles uses the art of direct second person, and the reader feels as if they're reading a set of life instructions in order to handle this incredibly emotional situation. The poem reads as a list of things to do, almost forcing the reader to act as an active character, which leads us to the final element, plot. Since the poem is written in a chronological manner, the reader becomes involved in the entire arc, from beginning to end. The reader is directly involved in the progress of the story by being told to talk to certain characters, like the wife, doctor, and funeral guest, and to imagine various scenarios, like meeting the brother's lover, or reminiscing about sibling rivalry. And by actually doing certain tasks, like being in the hospital room, or engaging in forgiveness. This analysis brings us to the final conclusion. Literature can be powerful if it connects with the reader. The June 5th, 2016 edition of the New York Times notes in its literary section that authors across all genres should start using more elements like authorial intrusion to connect with readers and audiences, especially youth. Since literacy rates amongst millennials continue to dwindle, one of the main reasons is a feeling of isolation from literature. They simply can't relate. If authors took a more demonstrative and inclusive approach to writing, this could make a difference. So, by examining the text, How to Watch Your Brother Die, and looking at it through the lens of authorial intrusion, we've learned that not only can literature jump off the page, but we can make it jump in to our lives.